extensive business experience like you in the for-profit side of the equation. I came into city government because when Kyle Moore decided not to run for a third term, there were a lot of inexperienced people putting their names out as potential candidates. We were coming out of COVID, and we had a lot of empty big box stores vacant here in town. I said, Quincy's at a crossroads. We need someone who's going to be able to manage, get the economy growing, get businesses to come here, help grow Quincy. I was born and raised in Quincy. I worked, basically, Quincy has been my home base. I've worked all over the world. I worked in Canada, I worked in Russia, I worked in the Caribbean, I worked in South America, all from Quincy. Airports are important, and ours is really horrible right now, but that's a whole other debate. Housing is a critical need for the community. We have a variety of projects, housing-wise, that I'm happy to see has been started and developed over the last 3.5 years. We've got townhomes that are built, we have more condos, we've got more cluster homes, we've had single-family homes built throughout town, but we don't even do, on average, 50 new structures per year. When we had the housing study, we need hundreds of more housing units to take care of the people and the housing needs that they have. Every housing category, not just safe, livable housing. We probably don't need as many McMansions. That's probably the area we don't need to build as many as the entry-level home, you know, the direct labor home, you know, couple working, 1 or 2 children, that kind of stuff. So there's a tremendous need. We have made incentives available to small rental rehab. If you have property in the older sections of town, either in a TIF area or west of 18th Street, we've had incentives that a landowner or property owner could get up to 50%, up to either $20,000 or $25,000 per unit, to a cap of 4 units to help in that renovation. We do that. Has anybody used that program here? Okay, a couple of you. What you do is, once we do that, you've got to make sure you have all the inspections along the way. You do it, the city would then take a second mortgage or a third mortgage if we need to secure that for the first 5 years. You don't pay any interest. After 5 years, that money is just forgiven. So you never have to pay it back. We do it that way legally to make sure you follow through, and then you at least attempt to rent out those properties. We don't set up what the rental amount has to be. It's your business. You know what number, how much rent you need to keep that property going forever and ever. We've had other incentives. We brought in other businesses. What happened when we brought in Target? You had the Kmart property, which was vacant for something like 10 years. Does anybody remember what that empty building looked like when you're driving by on Broadway? And so by doing that, the city was the only group working with the developer to work with the developer to bring Target in. That has tripled the amount of money that the school district receives on that property, tripled what the Adams County receives on that property, tripled what the ambulance district, what the park district, and what the city receives on that property. Okay? Well, what is that to city taxpayers? That helped keep your tax rate low because that value increased so much after that retailer came that it helped. That retailer hired over 100 new positions. Okay, with as tight as the economy was, do you realize on their application list, they had over 1,000 people apply for those 100 jobs. That's in an area where nobody else could find workers. But again, with their benefits and what they're able to do, not to mention their wages, and their top 3 to 5 people make over $100,000 a year just in the Target Quincy store. Okay, so they aren't just part-time jobs. There's good head of household jobs that come with that kind of development. What else has that done? That has brought in other retailers and other businesses to say, why are you looking at Quincy? Well, if Target's here, we have to be here. Okay, they know Target came here or was planning on coming, so they could look at Raising Cane's. Okay, they came because Target's here. We've got several other retailers that are also coming to do this. Top Marks was probably our best local commercial developer that this community has seen in decades. We went to the first economic development meeting shortly after I was sworn in, and Tom pulls me aside afterwards because it was a real downer. The economic development people were saying brick and mortar retail is gone. You know, people are buying Amazon, they're getting stuff shipped in, etc. Tom came up to me, we were walking out to our cars, and he says, Mike, don't believe that. He goes, brick and mortar retail is far from dead. Well, what did he do from that conversation until his death? At 30th and Broadway, where CVS is, he put all new facade and renovated that entire property. He built the outbuildings along out in the corner where Verizon, Pancheros, Jersey Mike's is now. He bought half of Prairie Crossing, calls that Prairie Trails. He added 10 to 12 more retail spaces out there, and guess what? Virtually all of those spaces are filled. Brick and mortar is not dead, but we were lucky enough that we had a local community developer that loves this town and put his money where his mouth is, okay? Tom still was building the other corner at 30th and Broadway. Trevor Beck, remember the Chinese restaurant on the, what would that be, the southeast corner of 30th and Broadway? Does anybody miss that? Okay, well, we got to thank Trevor Beck. Trevor bought that when it came up for availability. Okay, and I'm talking about these things because they're no different than what I understand with everybody else in this room today. Okay, you're for-profit business people. You're in more, I think, the residential part of the real estate market, but you still have to make money. Our sales tax collections have increased over 24%. Well, what does that mean? Sales taxes fund over half the municipal activities. Our property taxes really go to fund our fire and police pension. Okay? So it does make a difference. As we get into housing today with some other questions, no one's complained to me, neither a landlord or a tenant has yet to call me or pull me aside and say the city minimum housing requirements from a landlord side are either too, difficult to meet. Nobody has ever told me that. From a tenant side, I've never had a tenant tell me they're not high enough. So we can all agree that the city's minimum housing standard is fair, is good, it works. What we start having questions, we have to remember, and nobody has a specific definition for what is affordable housing. That's a relative term. But we can't lose sight of the fact that Illinois is a tenant-favored state. So as landlords, you've got another hurdle that our friends in Missouri don't have. Okay? That has to be brought into the equation as well. So I'll go on and
Thank
be
you,
ready
Mr.
for
Mayor.
questions a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll